What if I told you that the key to attracting younger women isn't what you think? Forget everything you thought you knew about attraction. This isn't about money. It isn't about looks. And it definitely isn't about pretending to be something you're not. It's about something deeper, something primal, something woven into female psychology that most men never learn. Not even in their lifetime. And today, you are going to be one of the few who do. In the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the 7 types of older men that younger women find irresistibly attractive. These insights will not only surprise you, they will change the way you approach relationships forever. Because once you understand the psychology behind why younger women desire older men, you unlock an advantage younger guys simply cannot compete with. So, are you ready to become the man younger women secretly dream of? Then let's dive in. 1. The gentleman. We begin here. Not at the end, where most people would place this, but at the beginning. Because every other quality on this list is built on top of this one. Without it, the others are impressive but somehow hollow. Like a beautifully constructed building with no foundation. A gentleman is not a type of man. He is the result of a specific internal process, one that takes years, sometimes decades, and cannot be rushed or simulated. It is the process of a man who has encountered enough friction in his own life to stop being at war with other people's emotions, who has experienced enough loss to stop needing every situation to go his way, who has developed enough inner stability that he no longer needs to prove anything to feel secure. Marcus Aurelius, who governed an empire while simultaneously conducting one of the most rigorous private philosophical inquiries in human history, wrote something that captures the essence of the true gentleman with disarming simplicity. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Not perform one. Not present one. Be one. In the small, daily, unremarkable moments that no one is watching, and in the ones they are. The Stoics identified what they called eudaimonia, often translated as happiness, but more accurately rendered as human flourishing. The state of a man whose actions are fully aligned with his deepest values. A gentleman is not a man who opens doors because he was told to. He is a man whose inner relationship with respect, consideration, and care is so thoroughly established that these behaviors emerge naturally, without effort, without calculation, without expectation of reward. Research on what Dr. Dacher Keltner at the University of California, Berkeley calls prosocial behavior, the spontaneous, non-transactional care for others, demonstrates that this quality is one of the most reliably attractive across cultures and age groups. Not because it signals wealth or status, but because it signals something the nervous system registers immediately as safety. She does not encounter this often. Men who are consistently considerate not because they are performing consideration for effect, but because consideration is simply how they move through the world. Men who handle emotional tension without explosion or withdrawal. Men who communicate without drama. Men who can disagree without diminishing. The younger men in her life have energy. They have ambition. Some of them have genuine charm. What most of them do not yet have, and cannot have because it requires time, is the specific calm of a man who no longer needs to prove anything. When she encounters that calm, she feels something she may not have words for yet. Safety. The specific, rare, quietly extraordinary experience of being in the presence of a man who will not suddenly become someone else when the situation becomes difficult. That is the gentleman. Not a performance. A state. And it is the foundation on which everything else is built. With that foundation established, the next quality creates something entirely different. Not safety intrigue. The specific magnetic pull of a man who cannot be easily decoded. 2. The enigma. Younger men give away everything on the first conversation. Their anxieties, their ambitions, their need to be liked, their desire to be seen as impressive, all of it arrives at the table within the first 20 minutes. Not because they are unintelligent, because they have not yet learned that restraint is its own form of power. That what is withheld is often more compelling than what is offered. The older man who has genuinely lived, who has accumulated not just experiences, but the wisdom to hold them with some stillness, communicates differently, not through calculation, through the natural reticence of a man whose inner life is rich enough that he does not need to empty it into every conversation. Epictetus wrote, We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say. Most people read this as advice about conversation. It is also a description of magnetism. The man who listens more than he speaks creates a specific psychological experience in the person he is speaking with. She finds herself wanting to know more, wanting to understand what is behind the eyes that are receiving so much and revealing so little. Dr. Arie Kruglanski at the University of Maryland, whose research on what he calls epistemic motivation examined how the mind responds to uncertainty, found that unresolved questions are among the most psychologically compelling experiences available. The brain does not simply accept ambiguity. It pursues resolution. A man who creates genuine curiosity, not through manipulation but through the authentic depth of someone who is more inside than he presents, becomes, neurologically, something she cannot stop thinking about. She is surrounded by men who are transparent, who tell her their entire inner landscape within hours of meeting her, who have no mystery not because they are uncomplicated, but because they have not yet learned that complexity is most compelling when it is revealed slowly. The enigma does not withhold strategically. He simply has enough genuine depth that it cannot all surface at once. Each conversation reveals something, enough to satisfy the last question and generate the next one. He is the book she cannot put down, not because of what each chapter reveals, but because of what it implies about the chapter that follows. He does not need to be mysterious. He simply is, because he has actually lived enough to have layers that take time to encounter. The practical expression of this quality is not a technique. It is the natural result of a man who has developed a genuine inner life, who has interests, opinions, and experiences that are fully his own, and who does not feel compelled to establish his worth by presenting all of them immediately. Let the story unfold slowly, not as a game, as the honest pace of a man who has learned that the best things do not arrive all at once. The enigma creates curiosity. The next type satisfies it, by being the specific, rare person she has been looking for without knowing it. 3. The mentor figure. Picture the moment she asks you a question she has never asked anyone else. Not a trivial question. Not something she could resolve with a search engine. But the specific kind of question that requires something a search engine cannot provide, a perspective shaped by having actually lived through what she is navigating. By having made the mistakes she is afraid of making. By having emerged from the difficulties, she is standing at the edge of, wiser, calmer, more oriented than before. She turns toward you, and something in her eyes, curious, almost hopeful, not quite sure what she will find, is asking not just for information, for wisdom, the specific, earned, irreplaceable kind. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoic philosophy, who spent his life teaching not through lecture but through the quality of his own lived example, understood something about mentorship that most people in teaching roles never fully grasp. The most powerful transmission does not happen through content. It happens through presence, through the specific experience of being in the company of a man who has already found his ground, and whose stability becomes, briefly, available to you. She does not just learn something new when she talks to you. She feels something new, a sense of clarity in what had previously felt confusing, a sense of direction in what had felt overwhelming, a sense, not yet fully articulable, that the world is navigable in ways she had not quite believed before this conversation. Research on what psychologists call secure base effects, rooted in the attachment theory of Dr. John Bowlby and expanded over decades by Dr. Mary Ainsworth, demonstrates that the presence of a genuinely calm, knowledgeable, non-judgmental figure creates measurable changes in cognitive function. People think more clearly, explore more boldly, and take more productive risks when they feel genuinely supported by someone whose wisdom they trust. She asks you things she would never ask a peer, not because peers are inadequate, but because the specific question she is holding requires a perspective that comes only from having already traveled the terrain she is entering. And when you answer, not with lecture, not with a slight condescension of someone who has confused information with wisdom, but with the genuine, unhurried engagement of a man who finds her question interesting rather than naive, something opens. She does not just learn, she grows. And growth, the Stoics understood this as well as anyone, is one of the most addictive experiences available to a human being. The person who facilitates it becomes, inevitably, someone she wants to return to. You do not need to position yourself as a mentor. You simply need to be genuinely present when she asks, and genuinely honest in what you offer. The rest follows naturally. The mentor gives her a new understanding of the world. The next type shows her a new way of seeing it entirely. 4. The creative visionary. While others look at a problem, he sees a blueprint. While others see the obstacle, he has already begun sketching the path around it. Not because he is performing intelligence, because decades of encountering problems and finding their solutions has rewired how his mind naturally engages with complexity. Creativity at this level is not a talent. It is the accumulated residue of having thought carefully about many things for a long time, of having been wrong enough times to stop defending the first answer and start looking for the better one, of having developed, through sheer practice, the specific cognitive flexibility that allows a mind to hold a problem from multiple angles simultaneously and find the intersection where the solution lives. Marcus Aurelius, who is simultaneously emperor, philosopher, military commander, and one of the most rigorous private thinkers of his era, wrote about the particular pleasure of seeing what others missed. Not with pride, with genuine intellectual delight. He wrote, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change." The creative mind is not attached to its current answer. It is in love with the better one, wherever it comes from. Research on what neuroscientist Dr. Rex Jung at the University of New Mexico calls the creative intelligence network demonstrates that divergent thinking, the capacity to find non-obvious connections between seemingly unrelated concepts, continues to develop throughout adulthood in ways that younger brains, still specializing and consolidating, have not yet achieved. The older mind, counterintuitively, can access certain forms of creative synthesis that youth simply does not have the neural architecture for yet. She does not always know why she finds him fascinating, but the experience is consistent. Conversations with him generate ideas she had not thought before arriving. Leave her seeing something differently than she saw it when she walked in. Make everyday reality feel slightly more interesting, more navigable, more alive with possibility. There is a specific kind of excitement that comes from being around someone who thinks differently, who finds the third side of the coin when everyone else has accepted that coins only have two. She has not experienced much of this. It is not easy to walk away from. You do not need to announce your creative thinking. Simply allow it to be visible in the quality of your observations, the specific, non-obvious thing you notice in a situation, the connection no one else drew, the question that reframes what everyone thought was already settled. Let the way your mind works speak for itself. It already does, to anyone paying attention. The creative visionary expands how she sees the world. The next type shows her the world itself, in all its physical, sensory, lived reality. 5. The Adventurous Spirit. He does not talk about places he wants to go. He talks about places he has been and what they taught him. There is a specific quality to storytelling that comes only from having actually been somewhere. From having eaten the specific dish in the specific region that no travel guide describes accurately. From having found the back street that changed how he understood an entire culture. From having navigated the moments when the plan failed and something better emerged from the failure. Younger men can offer enthusiasm for adventure. What they cannot yet offer, is the accumulated cartography of someone who has actually traveled the terrain. Seneca wrote, in his letters, from a life of considerable travel and displacement, omnia, lucili, aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum est. All things are alien to us. Only time is truly ours. What we do with that time, where we go, what we allow ourselves to be changed by, becomes the most honest map of who we are. When she travels with him, she is not just visiting a place. She is entering his world. The world he has already encountered and made sense of, and is now offering to share. He knows where the light is best at what hour. He knows which local restaurant serves food that does not exist in the guidebooks. He knows how to handle the moment when everything goes wrong without allowing that moment to define the experience. Research on shared novel experiences, studied extensively by Dr. Arthur Aron at Stony Brook University, demonstrates that engaging in genuinely new experiences together is one of the most reliable accelerators of emotional bonding. The brain, during novel experience, is in a heightened state of engagement. The people present during that heightened state become associated with the aliveness it produces. She is not just attracted to the destinations. She is attracted to what it feels like to experience them through his eyes. His calmness, when the unexpected arrives. His specific, unhurried expertise. The quality of his presence, which turns every experience, however ordinary, into something that feels curated not by intention, but by the accumulated wisdom of someone who has learned how to actually be somewhere. The younger man takes her on an adventure. The adventurous spirit takes her into a world she could not have accessed any other way. The difference is the difference between a tourist and a native. You do not need to have been everywhere. You simply need to have been genuinely present in the places you have been, to have allowed those experiences to actually change you, and to be willing to share that change. That willingness is its own form of intimacy. The adventurous spirit offers the world. The next type offers something rarer, the specific, quiet reliability of someone who will still be there after the adventure ends. 6. The self-made man. He does not need to tell her what he has built. She can feel it, not in the possessions, though those may be present, in something more specific and more fundamental. In the specific quality of ease that belongs to a man who has already solved the problems that most men are still desperately working on. The financial anxiety that younger men carry in their bodies like a low-grade fever gone. The identity uncertainty that makes men in their 30s perform rather than inhabit their lives gone. The need to prove what he is capable of, replaced by the quiet, settled awareness of a man who already knows. Epictetus, who built his entire life's work from a position of having almost nothing in material terms, wrote something that reframes what self-made actually means. Seek not the good in external things. Seek it in yourself. What he was identifying is the distinction between the man who has accumulated things and the man who has developed himself. The truly self-made man is not defined by his bank account. He is defined by the specific character that was forged in the process of building it. She is not responding to his success. She is responding to the person his success made him. The discipline that had to be developed to build something from nothing. The resilience that was forged in the encounters with failure that preceded the success. The specific emotional steadiness of a man who has been uncertain enough times to stop being destabilized by uncertainty. Research on what psychologists call resource signaling, studied across cultures by evolutionary psychologist Dr. David Buss, consistently finds that women respond not to wealth itself, but to the behavioral indicators of capability that wealth, in its honest form, tends to accompany. The confidence that is not performed. The unhurried quality of a man whose sense of his own worth is not contingent on this particular outcome. The ease of someone who has already navigated enough difficulty to stop being afraid of it. His confidence is not loud. It does not announce itself. It simply exists, the way the confidence of any man exists who has earned it through actual contact with reality rather than through the management of how he appears. There is a specific kind of presence that belongs only to a man who has built something real. She has encountered men who perform that presence. She can feel the difference immediately. One radiates. The other manages. He does not need to present his accomplishments. They are already present. In the quality of his attention, the ease of his movement, the specific calm of a man who has nothing left to prove to himself. That is the self-made man at his most attractive. Not what he has accumulated, who he has become, built and earned, and holding it all with the quality that makes it last, and makes everything else possible. 7. The reliable partner. This is the one that most men underestimate. And it is the one she values most. Not at first, perhaps. Reliability is not the quality that creates the first flash of attraction. It is the quality that deepens it into something that does not fade. That transforms the early excitement of connection into the specific, rare, profoundly valuable experience of actually trusting someone. She has been surrounded by men who are exciting and unreliable, who make plans and cancel them, who offer warmth and then withdraw it without explanation, who are fully present in the good moments and suddenly difficult to locate when something becomes hard. She has learned through experience to hold her emotional investment lightly around these men, to protect herself from the disappointment she has come to expect. And then she meets a man who does what he says he will do. Marcus Aurelius returned, in his private journals, to a single quality more than almost any other. He wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." What he was describing is not ethical theory. It is the internal practice of a man who has aligned his words with his actions so completely and so consistently that the alignment has become his nature rather than his effort. That alignment, what the Stoics called integrity in the original sense of the word, meaning wholeness, the integration of inner and outer life, is detectable immediately. She cannot always name what she is detecting, but something in her nervous system registers the difference between a man who says things and a man who means them. Dr. John Gottman, whose 4 decades of research at the University of Washington on what makes relationships endure produced some of the most cited findings in social science, identified what he called trust as the single most important variable in long-term relationship satisfaction. Not passion, not compatibility, not even communication. Trust. The specific, built through consistency, earned through reliability experience of knowing that this person will still be themselves tomorrow. She will open up to him in ways she has never opened up to younger men. Not because he is more charming, but because he has demonstrated, through the accumulated evidence of kept commitments and consistent presence, that it is safe to do so. That the emotional investment she makes will not be met with disappearance or withdrawal. Reliability is not romantic in the conventional sense. It is far more intimate than romance. Romance is the feeling of beginning. Reliability is the foundation on which something real, actually lastingly real, can be built. She does not need a perfect man. She needs a consistent one. A man who shows up, not spectacularly, not with grand gestures, but dependably. The same man on the difficult day as the easy one. The same presence when nothing is going well as when everything is. That man, in a world full of men who disappear when things get complicated, is not just attractive. He is irreplaceable. Let's pull the thread together. 7 qualities. 7 dimensions of a man that younger women respond to, not despite his age, but because of everything his age has made possible. The gentleman, because emotional maturity cannot be performed and cannot be rushed. The enigma, because genuine depth creates genuine curiosity. The mentor figure, because wisdom offered without judgment is one of the rarest gifts available. The creative visionary, because a mind that sees differently makes the world more interesting for everyone near it. The adventurous spirit, because experience shared is experience doubled. The self-made man, because what has been genuinely built radiates in ways that nothing manufactured can replicate. The reliable partner, because consistency, in a world drowning in its absence, is the most powerful form of attraction that exists. Every single one of these qualities shares a common root. They are not performances. They are not strategies. They are the natural expressions of a man who has lived fully, who has allowed his experiences to actually change him, and who has arrived, through decades of genuine contact with reality, at something younger men are still in the process of building. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." The man who has spent 60 years doing what he had to do, who has faced what he had to face, built what he had to build, lost what he had to lose, and found his way forward anyway, does not need to become these 7 types. He already is them. He simply needs to stop apologizing for what life has made him and start allowing it to be fully visible. Your age is not the obstacle. It is the credential, the evidence of everything that genuine attraction actually requires. Younger women are not seeking perfection. They are seeking presence. They are seeking confidence. They are seeking the specific, irreplaceable, fully inhabited version of the man you have already become. Show up as him, completely, without apology. That is all it has ever required. If you enjoyed this video and want more deep psychological truths about attraction, relationships, and human behavior, make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our community here at the Stoic Heart. Don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, and tell me which of the 7 types you connect with most. Your engagement not only supports the channel, it shapes the content we create next. And I'll see you in the next video, where we dive even deeper into the psychology of attraction, presence, and the masculine energy that makes a man truly unforgettable. Until then, stay confident, stay aware, stay in your power, because the Stoic heart is not a channel. It is a standard. Stay grounded, stay present, and remember, mastery begins the moment you stop performing and start becoming.